It's been 3.5 years since Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem to protest racial inequity and police brutality, igniting controversy across the NFL and the nation. And while he's been off the field almost as long, the issues he was pointing to will be front and center in Sunday's Super Bowl when this ad, starring Kaepernick's former teammate, will air.
I was still playing with the 49ers, and my wife walks up after the game. They told me that my cousin Corey had been killed. There's just some things that are bigger than football.
That's three-time Pro Bowler Anquan Boldin, whose cousin Corey Jones shot and killed by a plainclothes police officer in 2015. His video is part of a series made by the NFL and the nonprofit Players Coalition, which Boldin co-founded. They've been putting out these videos since November, highlighting the deaths of young black men at the hands of police. The first featured the story of this man, DJ Henry, a 20-year-old Easton native who was killed by a police officer in Mount Pleasant, New York, nearly a decade ago.
Our beloved Danny, our firstborn son.
He's a kid who has just the biggest heart.
Never in a million years would we have thought that this would have happened to us. And it continues to happen to so many other families.
DJ was waiting for a friend outside a bar in 2010 when a police officer told him to move his car. As he did, another officer, Aaron Hess, jumped in the car's hood and fired through the windshield. Police dashcam video obtained by CBS's 48 Hours showed that after he was shot, he was handcuffed face down on the sidewalk, and while people helped Officer Hess, DJ lay unattended, dying. Hess later claimed DJ sped up and tried to run him over, but another police officer, Ronald Beckley, later said he thought Hess had been the aggressor. Hess, by the way, was later named locally Officer of the Year. Joined now by the two people featured in that earlier video, DJ's parents, Angella and Dan Henry. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for being here. Why did you agree to become part of this effort? What were you hoping to achieve, Angella?
Well, we knew that the NFL has such a great reach, and we knew, combined with them and Roc Nation, that we would be able to get DJ's story out to even more people. And we just hope to raise awareness and start this difficult conversation that we really need to have in this country about why this continues to happen.
Well, you know, when Whoopi Goldberg, when your wife was on with Whoopi Goldberg, she said before she was introducing Angela and the mothers of two other people, both of them, Jean, well, sister, both of them, Jean, and the mother of Antoine Rose Jr., the goal is to overcome fear and misunderstanding that's been causing a deadly American epidemic. What's the fear and misunderstanding that you and others are hoping to
Well, these issues tend to be discussed in the polls, right? So by polls, I mean at opposite ends of the spectrum. It's always just about the black kid and about the white cop. And really what we're trying to do is alight the fact that the reality that there are real humans involved in this. And we need to have a conversation from the middle around the facts that lead up to this. And I think having these all tied together is giving people a sense that this is more than just one kid. This is a pervasive issue that needs to be discussed at a national level.
Do you have any evidence that conversation is happening? I mean, I would say, I guess the evidence is, I checked this afternoon, on YouTube, 12 million hits on DJ's video. I guess that is a conversation.
Yeah,
are you
12,
hopeful? And we've been saying since I was a little boy that we have to have a conversation about race and tolerance, all these things in this country. We're all still waiting. Do you feel more hopeful?
I'm not hopeful about the conversation. I want results, right? So this leads us to a point of action, legislative change, and there's legislation being developed
to
now.
do what?
To address use of force policies in police departments across the country.
You know, one of the things, you, in the years that I have known you, I think I'm right about this, you have never put race in the middle of this killing of your kid. You're both nodding in agreement. All three of these men were young black men. All three of them were killed by a white cop. Do you not believe that race is part of this story, or you think it's more constructive to talk about it in a different way, Angela? Do you know what I mean by that?
I do, and I think, you know, oftentimes when we were speaking about our case, and so we couldn't really tell you for sure if it was race. But if we look over all of these cases, I'm sure race plays some role, but we can't. Yeah, there's a pattern.
You know, when I was playing that video a minute ago, I was watching the two of you. You were able to watch it, and you put your eyes aside. It was conscious. I I mean, I don't mean to be presumptuous, but I think
I try not to. Those are things that will replay over and over and over again in my head, and so it's hard for me sometimes to see it.
Speaking of hard for you, again, I have known you forever, and I really respect you, but I have to say, I was reading some of the comments on this video. Again, 12 million hits, and these are few in number, but some disgusting creature is talking about how your kid was drunk, how you're a liar. That's bad enough, and my attitude is, listen, that's when you play the game, and but you respond. You don't just respond once, you respond again. You try to reason with, I assume, I don't know if he's young, try to reason with this troll, you try to reason with him again before you finally, why do you do that?
I guess, you know,
That's the same question.
Yeah.
That's the same question.
He does, and I'm learning to not read them, but it's so frustrating because we've been fighting for so long to make sure his name is cleared, and to know that, I guess, you know, there's going to be people out there that have their judgments and their beliefs, and nothing I do or say will change it. But then there's those times where it just kind of gets me, and I have to say something. But I'm learning. I'm learning.
You know, I'm sure you've heard this before, but a lot of us, I am included in this, I hate when people talk about them over there, believe that the NFL's treatment of Colin Kaepernick was despicable. And when they finally did this offer to have him do a tryout a few months ago, they did it in such a way that he believed he was forced to do it another occasion. They said he blew it. And then all of a sudden onto the scene is Jay-Z and some other people, and obviously he's Roc Nation or that sort of thing. A lot of people think this effort is, and I'm amongst them, I worry that this effort is an attempt by the NFL to cover up for their intolerance of protest and this kind of discussion that Kaepernick was trying to advance. Do you worry about that? Do you worry that maybe they're using this and you to advance their own goals and not your goals?
Well, how are they different? If what we're trying to accomplish here is to get people to be exposed to these issues and to begin to discuss them, even if what they say about it is hurtful, they're at least having a conversation about it. If we're trying to get people at the table to have a constructive discussion, it's working.
So you don't even care, really?
I care about the result.
Not the motivation.
I'm not going to judge their motivation.
You know, I've never had a good word to say about Roger Goodell, and I heard you met with him. Is that
We
true?
did. We did as a family.
What was your does he care about this, or is this?
You know, I can't tell you for sure about his
Why,
heart.
obviously, what do you think?
But I feel like he does, and I feel that, you know, one of the things we learned is that his dad marched with Dr. King, which we didn't know, and that I think him meeting us and meeting the other families face to face, maybe it will get him a little bit more inspired and encouraged to do more, because now he's seeing us. It's not just something that's off on TV or distance. We're face to face having a conversation.
Did you play away with the same feeling?
I did, and again, I hope people would judge the result here, right? Not the intent. I mean, we were there. We were in his office. The NFL is spending big money against this. Roc Nation is the right partner for it. We lost our son, so you know we're in it because of that. But I think people should wait and see the results.
You know, speaking of, I was just mentioning Angela chose not to watch this thing, and I watched it several times. And the part that was hardest for me to watch was when you talked about your kid being 30 years old. That was just, I mean, how much do you think about that? How hard is that to think about? And he'd be 30. It was 10 years ago.
Every day.
And how hard is that?
It's tough. It's tough. Every time we see one of his contemporaries getting married, having children, they're at that phase of their lives, it cuts. It cuts. It's very hard. It's very hard.
So people watch this video, and I hope everybody will watch this. It is incredibly powerful, and all of them are really powerful. What do you want them to do when they see it? I assume you want them to learn more about your kid, but what action do you want them to take?
Love for them to share it, talk about DJ with their friends, talk about how they feel this injustice is happening all across the country, and maybe it'll open their eyes to not make judgments about people that they see or come in contact with on a daily basis.
You know, I have to say, I've told you this before, I admire you both so much for your relentlessness, for your willing to continue to act in your son's name, and it is just, it's otherworldly great. So congratulations on the video, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's good to see
you. Yeah,
Thank
you so much.
Appreciate it. You can watch the full PSA, and you really should, at facebook.com/players coalition. And for more information about the organization this family has created in their son's honor, which does wonderful work, go to djdreamfund.org.